Hey everybody, and welcome to Bible class. John chapter 13 is our text for today. I'm excited to dive in with you. Such powerful lessons from Jesus as we continue to see reasons why we ought to believe. We have followed him in these recent chapters into the city of Jerusalem. As John 13 begins, it is the time of the Passover. That's what we're being told as Jesus gathers in an upper room with his closest of followers. John 13 verse 1, now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. Do you hear that language? The end is approaching. That long-awaited hour has come. And during supper, when the devil had already put it into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, one of the apostles, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands and that he had come from God and was going back to God, Jesus rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, and Simon Peter knows rabbis, teachers, aren't supposed to do this for their students. Great prophets aren't supposed to do this for their followers. Kings most certainly are not supposed to do this for their subjects. The Son of God ought not to do this for lowly human beings. Simon says, "Lord, do you wash my feet?" Listen to Jesus' answer. "What I am doing, you do not understand now, but afterward you will understand." Peter replies, "You shall never wash my feet." And Jesus answers, "If I do not wash you, you have no share with me." "Lord," Simon Peter replies, "not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." And Jesus replies, "The one who has bathed does not need to wash except for his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not every one of you. For he knew." John wants to make sure we understand. Jesus knew who was to betray him. That was why he said, "Not all of you are clean." When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to the disciples, "Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your teacher and Lord, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you also should do just as I have done to you. Truly, truly I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them." There's a lot of important stuff there that we will dive in together as a class. For now, Jesus says in verse 18, I am not speaking of all of you. I know whom I have chosen, but the scripture will be fulfilled. He who ate my bread has lifted his heel against me. It sounds like Jesus is quoting something there. Where did that come from? We'll dig around together as a class and figure that out. He says in verse 19, I am telling you this now before it takes place, that when it does take place, what is all of this about? What has this entire gospel been all about? That you may believe that I am he. In this instance, Jesus is telling them what is going to happen before it happens, that they might believe he really is the Son of God. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever receives the one I send receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me. After saying these things, Jesus was troubled in spirit and testified, truly, truly, I say to you, one of you will betray me. And that's not what the disciples are expecting. They look at one another, uncertain of whom he spoke. One of his disciples, whom Jesus loved, was reclining at table at Jesus' side. So Simon Peter motioned to him to ask Jesus of whom he was speaking. So that disciple, listen, we know him as John, the one who is writing this gospel. He leaned back against Jesus, said to him, Lord, who is it? And Jesus answered, it is he to whom I will give this morsel of bread when I have dipped it. So when he had dipped the morsel, he gave it to Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot. But even then, the disciples don't understand what's going on. After he had taken the morsel, Satan entered into Judas, and Jesus said to him, what you are going to do, do quickly. Now, no one at the table, John knows he was there at the table. No one knew why Jesus had said this to Judas. Some thought that because Judas had the money bag, Jesus was telling him, buy what we need for the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. So after receiving the morsel of bread, Judas immediately went out, and it was night. When he had gone out, Jesus said, listen to this, now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself and glorify him at once. Something big is about to happen. Little children, yet a little while I am with you. You will seek me, and just as I said to the Jews, so now I also say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. What is Jesus talking about? A new commandment, verse 34, I give to you that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. By this is important. All people will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. Simon Peter has heard this idea of Jesus going somewhere, and he asks him, where are you going? Jesus answers, where I am going, you cannot follow me now, but you will follow afterward. Lord, Peter answers, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for you. Finally, Jesus answers, will you lay down your life for me? Truly, truly I say to you, the rooster will not crow till you have denied me, Peter, 3 times. So much going on in John chapter 13. Jesus has set us up for good discussion, things that we need to see and understand. So let's talk about it. Thank you so much for being in class. I'll turn it back over for discussion. Let's make it a good one together.